your hair except for one lock. I found out that I like watching your hair burn more than I liked keeping it. I pardon your finest pardon. You what now? Alright guys, I'm Elgems and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here then just welcome. I do Reddit videos. So recently I've started feeling like Reddit's been getting a little bit too tame for my liking, and to be honest guys, I was starting to long for the good old glory days back when Couch Guy and Seatback Guy were relevant. And even if you don't want to admit it, that's fine, but I know deep down you're missing when Reddit was full of weirdos as well. So today guys, we're going to be on the TrueOffMyChest subreddit. If you're unfamiliar with this subreddit, it's basically just as the name suggests, people are coming onto here to just get things off their chest, stuff that they can't say to anyone else, so they choose to say it to strangers online. And guys, I have found the most Reddit story on this subreddit. I was having a look through, like, can I make a video on this subreddit? Yes, I definitely can. We're in for a ride today, guys. But before we get into the first story of today, while you're still hooked, I'd just like to take a moment to ask you to leave a like, potentially even a comment on this video. And then if you like this type of content, you can subscribe to the channel as well. But if you're watching this, you've probably seen the thumbnail and the title and you really want to know what the hell's going on, so I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's get into this first story. And I've looked and there is a couple updates to this story, so it's like a full saga, but this was posted by Fed Up So Better and it's titled, Hairstylist has been taking/keeping my hair. Okay, what? Just from reading the title of this, I'm already disturbed. Like, I feel like this needs some sort of content warning, like trigger warning, scary crap is about to happen. I'm weirded out. I'm also going to be vague because obvious reasons. I'm 30s F and my stylist is 40s. I got my hair cut today at a stylist that I've been using for about 9 months now. I think it's my 6th appointment with them. I usually do a trim or a cut/style. Today I went from long hair, higher lower back, to an A-line bob. Again, since I started seeing this person, I usually get current style maintenance/trim. This time was a dramatic length adjustment, so they took a picture of the cut length on the floor to add to their social media, then intending to add before and afters to ours too. That's all fine, totally normal. They go grab a broom, sweep up the hair and place the dustpan on the counter for a bit. Again, normal. They grab the broom and pan and head to the back of the shop. They're gone for a few minutes, no biggie, then they go out to smoke. But here's where it gets weird. Oh guys, hold my hand, I'm scared. The bathroom is in the back of the shop too and I need to go, so I step into the back. I don't really notice anything on the way into the bathroom. I go and start to head back out. But then I noticed my name on a small clear tote on the table. It has no lid and it has my hair in it. At first I didn't really think much of it, but I look closer and see it's not just today's discarded hair, but it looks like at least a few of my trim sessions, mixed with, it looked like potpourri and a little sand or something, and printed pictures of the cut hair with dates. The printer is sitting right next to it with today's discarded hair pick in the tray. There didn't seem to be any other containers like this when I looked around. It was effing weird, so I took a picture on my phone. Yeah, I would say that weird's a tad bit of an understatement there. Tell me, OP, have you experienced any bizarre bad luck recently? Any strange feelings, weird things happening? Because I don't think that they're just collecting your hair. I'm gonna say it, they've put some sort of spell on you. I honestly didn't know what to think or do, so I just went back into the salon. They came back in and I mentioned that I'd just gone to the restroom and they seemed to freak out a little but didn't mention it. I didn't really know what to say, so I just let them finish styling my hair, paid and left. As a socially anxious introvert, this was my nightmare. I got home and the more I looked at this picture, the more ick I got. I ended up texting them an hour ago, sending them the picture and requesting that they remove the weird box of me and asking for an explanation. I'm sorry, remove the weird box of me. That was not a sentence I was expecting to hear at all in my life. I said, hey, so I saw this and I don't know what to make of it. Can you help me understand what this is and why you have it? I'm not comfortable with you having this and request that you please discard the contents. Also, even though I love my cut, I believe it's best if I find a different stylist. They haven't responded. Lol, WTF. Yep, well, that was as awful as I was expecting it to be. Really disturbing, really unnerving, just very, very bad. It's not even like the fact that they're keeping the hair that's really grossing me out, because I could explain why they'd keep the hair, because, like, you know, you said it's like your first drastic cut, maybe it's like a memorial type thing that they do, but the fact it's mixed with all that weird crap and the pictures and everything, that just makes it seem like almost ritualistic to me. Oh my god, and the fact that OP's like texted them, sort of confronting them about this, I'm gonna say that's really brave. I don't think I'd be able to do that. Oh, would I? Because on one hand, like, I'd want to know, like, what the hell is this? But also, like, I don't think I'd want to risk it because that person's clearly a bit mental if they're doing that. So I don't think I'd want to confront them and potentially make them mad. But it would also drive me absolutely up the walls if I just knew that that thing existed and I didn't know what it was. A commenter says, "You absolutely handled it better than I would have. I would have taken it and confronted them. This is really the beginning of some crazy I survived episode. Thank God you're not going back." An OP responds to that comment and they say, "I honestly had no clue how to respond. The whole situation was so bizarre and I can't imagine what the purpose of this would be. I told my husband about it and he got goosebumps, which was super scary for me and it made me feel like I may have underreacted to the issue. But I guess I'm glad I got out without a confrontation while there, because who knows what may have happened if I'd brought it up then." I think the way that OP chose to respond to this is probably the best choice because, I mean, this is just really weird. It's clearly not a normal thing to do, and the last thing you want is to confront someone who's clearly a little bit unhinged when I'm assuming that this isn't in a salon as well. Because OP didn't really mention there being other people around them, that's why I'm assuming these two were like alone together, and I wouldn't want to potentially agitate someone who's crazy enough to be collecting my hair like that. Oh, okay, for a bit of context, a commenter says I'd be mentioning this to the salon owner, and OP responded and they said, "Super small town, the stylist is the salon owner and the only chair in the building." So yeah, the stylist basically runs the joint, they're the only person there. Very scary and unnerving situation to be in, being alone with a person like that. But I'm not going to dwell on the comments because it is basically just the same thing, everyone's saying how weird and creepy this is and how they'd be so freaked out if they were in OP's situation, so we're just going to move on to OP's first update. It's been about a week and with the holiday I've been all over the place, but I ended up going to law enforcement to make a report last Monday. I'll likely end up going back if this person keeps contacting me like they have been. I'll give a little timeline. Last Sunday, haircut and discovered the weird tub full of my hair. Texted stylist about the weird tub and said I'd be finding a new stylist. Hairstylist didn't respond. This is where I left off in the last post and a lot has happened since then. Oh no, it's gotten worse, hasn't it? Sunday I woke up to a bunch of texts from the stylist. It woke me up because even though I have do not disturb on my phone, I have a setting that overrides that if there are repeated contact attempts over 3 in case of emergencies. Here's what I got, copy and pasted. 3:49 AM. I don't recommend going to a different stylist because this is not a big deal. Small towns and people talk and you may not be able to find someone that will take you after this, so I'd reconsider. I don't like threats. Okay, yeah, I should probably mention to you guys that these messages are basically unreadable, so I'm going to try and do my best to translate them into not jumble. 3:51 AM. So I have your biological material and it's mine property now. I can do what I want with it. I keep it because I can and it means a lot to me. What are you doing with it? What do you mean? No. 3:54 AM. Why you send the pic? I know what it looks like. It's mine. Yep, that's lovely, charming. Oh, great. It sounds like this person's spiralling a bit. OP, make sure your doors and windows are locked. 4 AM, you need to respond to me because I think it's a misunderstanding, and you saying that you're switching stylist has me triggered. I do good work, you said so. 4:04 AM, and I also charge a 350 client separation fee, so yeah, you can't just say you're switching stylists with no more consequences, and I know you already tried a few people before me, but not many beauty people in the area. A client separation fee? That's not a thing, right? Like, you can't just do that. You can't be like, what, like, I'm not going to be your hairdresser anymore. Well, you got to pay me if you don't want that. That's bizarre. This person's getting more crazy by the second. 4:11 AM. Asking for an explanation for a stylist having hair in a salon is crazy. Where else would you find hair? I didn't do nothing wrong, but I will get rid of it if you're going to cry about it. But only if you say you won't be switching to no one else for your hair care. You mean a lot to me as a client and you always tip well and I do good work, so it doesn't make any sense for you. And so maybe don't threaten someone who does your hair and hurt their heart by making accusatory statements. Oh my god, not them trying to gaslight the OP, what on earth? I mean, yes, I would expect there to be hair in a hair salon. Not in a little bag full of potpourri, sand and other pictures of said hair though, because that's not normal, and don't try and spin that like it's normal. I didn't respond to any of those that morning because it was just so insane to me. I need to process things fully before I make a decision on how to deal with it, so I just didn't respond. Sunday afternoon I started getting phone calls. This person called me 14 times that afternoon. About every other call they left a voicemail. Most of the voicemails just said call me back or text me, but 2 of them were unhinged. I'm gonna paraphrase, but the gist of the first one was, sounds like they're crying, call me back, I'm getting scared you won't come back to me for your hair for real, I just like how your hair feels, that's why I keep it, call me. Ah, well now you've said that, it all makes perfect sense, it's totally not absolutely insane anymore, you just like how it feels. The second unhinged message was left late Sunday night about 11:38 PM and it said, I got rid of your hair except for one lock. I found out that I like watching your hair burn more than I liked keeping it. I pardon your finest pardon. You what now? Okay. Guys, I'm laughing but it ain't funny. That just got really dark. OP, I think you may be in danger. I think you need to leave the country. I don't know what I was expecting from this update, but it definitely was not that. Like, you could have gave me hours to predict where this story was going to go and I would never have guessed that they resorted to burning the OP's hair. I didn't respond to any of those messages, calls or texts. The whole thing had me freaked out now. I'd decided that time I was taking Monday off to go to the police. Even if they couldn't do anything, I wanted to file a report of the weirdness. I woke up Monday to an email from the stylist with an invoice of $375 for a client breach of contract fee. As the chargeable line item, again copy and pasting here, the email body was just for being a bitch. It was sent from their business email too, so they're really doing everything they can to ruin themselves. Even if I had a contract with this nutter, which I don't, the original amount was for $350, they can't even get their extortion fees right. I did email them back stating that we had no contract and to cease all further communication with me from this point forward. I got ready and started heading to the police station around 9:45 Monday morning. When I finally got to town I had 4 voicemails and I immediately knew who they were from. I talked to one of the officers on staff. They took a statement, a copy of the email, asked me to forward them all the texts and screenshots of the number of calls. They said at least the calls and texts could be considered menacing and harassment, but the voicemails where they mentioned how they liked burning my hair was potentially concerning. Potentially concerning? Potentially? Is that what they said? I'm sorry, what do you mean potentially concerning? No, that's very much concerning. That's actually quite further than concerning. I'd consider it a threat quite personally. I mean, who in their right mind hears that and they're just like, yeah, that's a bit odd that. The officer advised I contact a legal representative in case this person tries to take the bogus invoice to a civil suit court, and they said I'm welcome to change my number, but having the piling evidence if they continue to contact me after I explicitly told them not to in the email would only help me. I reached out to a lawyer Tuesday and left a detailed message regarding the situation. They are apparently out of the office until next Wednesday for the holiday, so we'll see if they have any advice. I've since received many texts and calls from the stylist. They sent a happy Thanksgiving text on Thursday morning as well. Regardless, they're giving me a lot of evidentiary material to work with, but I'm so unsettled. I can't wait to hear from the lawyer this week. Yeah, OP, I think we're all a tad bit unsettled after reading this. Like, when I read the original post, I was already concerned because of the whole bag of hair situation, thinking, yeah, that's bizarre, that's not normal at all, is it? And then I read the update and, yeah, I think I'll be sleeping with the lights on tonight as if this person's going to come for me next. But in all seriousness, jokes aside, this is really scary, and the way they were talking about burning your hair, that definitely came across like a threat to me. And OP, I'm really glad that you've taken this to the police, even though they don't seem all that bothered by what's going on. But honestly, yeah, keep compiling the evidence, lawyer up, it's for the best. But now we're going to move on to OP's second update, and fingers crossed there's a resolution to this and it's not just more craziness. I didn't expect the crazy amount of people following this. Here's the long awaited post, also long post. Sorry for the delay. I think I mentioned before I'm a processor, so it takes me a while to work through my thoughts and feelings on things. The situation and update may not be as satisfying as many of you would have hoped for, but here it goes. I met with law enforcement again this past Tuesday. My husband and I drove early that morning because I was also meeting up with the lawyer I'm working with. Aside from the near constant texts, calls and emails, I wanted to pursue legal action for a specific issue. Allegedly, the stylist had tried to have my credit card cancelled. Apparently they used the last 4 digits of my card, called the customer service line for the card and tried to cancel it. I got a call from the fraud department shortly after this person attempted to do this, trying to verify everything to see if I actually wanted to close my account and dissolve my credit line with them. To be clear, Stylist was not successful in their alleged attempt. They couldn't provide the basic information you need for such things, like my actual last name. It's unusual, and they gave a name that was almost similar. Date of birth, address, etc. Apparently they thought they could accomplish this with just my name, phone number and last 4 digits of my card number. I didn't cancel the card, but I did request a new one for obvious reasons. I have no clue why they'd want to cancel my card, to inconvenience me. Yep, that's exactly why, allegedly. When I spoke with the credit card company, they agreed to send over the recording of the person that called, as well as the phone number that the call originated from, as long as the request came from law enforcement with a warrant. They gave me a phone number and reference number for the police to reach out to directly. The officer began working on that immediately, so that's in progress. Oh god, this is literally like an onion, man. There's so many layers to this. Whenever you think like, oh, it can't get any worse, it gets worse. I went to my phone company over the weekend. I had my phone number transferred to an old phone so I could still receive calls and texts there, but I got a new phone number for my actual phone. The old phone and phone number has been turned over to the assigned officer to my case. They did go and speak to this person yesterday. Apparently they are horrified I went to the police and they had no idea that any of their crazy could be chargeable offences. According to the officer, there have been no further communications via text or call since their visit. I haven't received any other emails. A temporary protection and no contact order has been issued against them until the first court date. I have also reached out to the State Board of Licensing with all this information and my complaints. All I can say is they are investigating. Outside of that information, I'm limited on any other information I can share since a legal process against this person has officially begun. We're just waiting to see how all this plays out now. It's been a long few weeks. I'm hoping for the best here. I'm already so relieved to no longer be getting calls, texts or emails constantly. Thank you all for the concern, advice and good wishes. This was meant to be an outlet for me to vent and process, and I'm so grateful that you've all allowed me to do that, with the huge amount of support that you've given. And that is OP's last update on this situation, and I think all I can say is wow. Just wow. I have never quite seen a situation escalate in the way that did. That was so shocking. It was bad from the beginning. It was bad pretty much all the way through, but I think we can all rest easy tonight, at least knowing that this did have a sort of peaceful conclusion. And, you know, it's all well and good, like, you're suing this person or whatever it is that you've chose to do, and you're safe now, but I'm still hung up on that bag of hair. Like, I feel like we never really got an explanation for that. And I know there are bigger things to worry about. I mean, this escalated way further than the bag of hair. I mean, they literally tried to cancel your credit card, which is mental. But all I'm thinking is, like, about the hair collection, I can't get it out my mind. It's just really crazy to me because all of this started because you politely asked them, like, what that was and if they could just get rid of it. And it all blew up from there. But, you know, so much happened. They did everything but just tell you what it is. And to be honest, I don't think we're ever really going to get an update or an explanation to what that was in the first place. But we can just ignore it, or at least attempt to ignore it, because at least OP is safe now and that this has a resolution. But guys, since the story's over, I'm going to end it here. I know that usually I'd read out a couple stories, but I feel like because this one was so long and it was so interesting that it deserved its own video. But I'm definitely going to be returning to this subreddit because the stories on here seem really interesting and you wouldn't want to miss that, so make sure to subscribe, and while you're at it, leave a like, and you might as well just leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of this story. But until next time, bye bye.